Hi guys, it's Jay Alva here, and today I'm going to be giving some unpopular K-pop opinions. I actually have like about five maybe K-pop opinions that I have that are new, original, and I don't think anyone has talked about these before because I try to be original with my opinions, and I try to make opinions that are new and that nobody has talked about yet, because a lot of the opinions talked about by different KTubers tend to be repetitive and stuff, and recycled from other KTubers and talked about a lot. So I try to be original with my opinions, and I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you sub to me because I'll be releasing more videos soon. So let's get into the video and let me share all my opinions that I have for today's opinions video. The first opinion: no matter how much I hate JYP, I still admire the fact that he can dance so well even at his age. Now, I'm not trying to mock him or anything, or call him old, or things like that. But when people turn to the age JYP is now, like 50 plus, I don't know his exact age, when people are 50 plus or around that age, right, they start to get more older and they start to feel and get less active and cannot do much of the things they could do when they were younger, like running around and sports and stuff that require a lot of exertion. But if you look at JYP's recent releases, like his songs, like for example, When We Disco with Sunmi and Switch to Me featuring Rain, those songs both had choreographies in them, and in the MV it shows that JYP is keeping up with Rain and Sunmi, which shows that even at his age he's keeping himself healthy and fit enough that he can do a choreography really well and pull it off amazingly. And I'm so amazed to see that even at the age JYP is now, he can still dance like he did when he was younger, and he can still do the things he did when he was younger, like dancing and other things. So this proves the point that I have, that when JYP becomes even older, like where he'll need a cane, he'll need a wheelchair, or he'll need a person's support just to go from one place to another, he'll dance and he'll still do it amazingly because of how healthy he is and how amazing he is. If he can dance still at 50 plus years old, whatever age he is now, when he'll go even more older and his age will become even more older, he'll still dance and he'll still pull it off amazingly. And I admire him for that he can still do that even at his age he is currently. He can still dance and he can still do active things that require much energy, and it's really amazing to see JYP do that. Next opinion: the translators at Next Level Entertainment, which is Girlkinds Entertainment, need to take English classes so that they can learn to speak and write and type better English in better grammar. Now when I look at Girlkind's lyrics, like I looked up the lyrics for Psycho For You when I was doing my Psycho For You cover last year, and I was happy that there was English translated lyrics, right? And I was going to do an English version of the song, like a short cover, and post it to YouTube. But then when I saw the English lyrics, they were so ununderstandable and they made no sense. And even recently, for this song Good Vibes Only that released this year, I saw that the song had subs, and then when I was reading the subs along with the song, I couldn't understand the subs. Even though I know what the basic plot is of both songs and what they're trying to say, I still think that the company should get better writers, or hire people who can, speak English better, or maybe make the staff take English courses. Because even though I appreciate the fact that Next Level Entertainment are actually putting out English subs for the fan force, which is Girlkind's fandom, because most smaller groups don't really have subs, and very rarely you'll see a smaller group having English subs because their company cannot speak English or something like that. So it's really amazing to see Girlkind's company adding English subs, but I believe that they should at least take some English classes so they can better themselves in English, and they can make their subs more grammatically correct, and they can make their subs better and more understandable. Even though it's understandable now, the grammar is still poor, and they still need to work on a lot of their sentences and a lot of their words so they sound much more readable and better to the people, to the fan force, to whoever watches the video and whoever finds the video and they recommend it, or watches the song or whatever. The next opinion is I don't believe in this every member is a visual thing. Now, I was watching a K-pop short yesterday. I don't remember who uploaded it or what the title was, but in that short they were listing many different boy groups and girl groups where they find every member as visuals. The uploader finds that. Now, as a girl group stan of big and smaller groups, I have only found one girl group so far where every member is visually eye-catching and attractive and outstanding, and that is Girl Crush, debuted in 2019 with the single Memories under Dam Entertainment. Now, I listen to, love, and stan a lot of girl groups, and I love them a lot as a girl group stan of bigger and smaller groups. But for the groups that I listen to, love, and stan, I do not find every single member eye-catching or visual like or attractive. There will always be one member from that girl group which I find the most attractive, or for their next comebacks or future comebacks, I always find a new member the most eye-catching and visual like. Let me give you an example to explain better. Now take Red Velvet for example. Amongst popular K-pop groups, I'm meaning popular K-pop girl groups, I find Red Velvet's Irene the most visually attractive and the top visual in the whole of the K-pop industry amongst popular girl groups, and I alt her as the top number one visual among popular K-pop girl groups. But when I watched Red Velvet's new MV, meaning Queendom's MV, I found Joy the most visually eye-catching in the MV, even more eye-catching than Irene. This means that I, for each comeback of Red Velvet, find a new member eye-catching, and I don't find every member outstandingly eye-catching, because for each comeback, every member will always have an era. Like for one comeback, it would be Wendy's era, and I'll find Wendy the most visually eye-catching. In the next comeback, it will be Irene's era, and I will find Irene the most visually eye-catching. In the next comeback, it will be Joy's era. In the next comeback, it will be Yeri's era. In the next comeback, it will be Sulgi's era. Now, this shows that I do not believe that every member of Red Velvet is, visually attractive to call them all visuals, because, as I said earlier, I will always find a member of Red Velvet to have the spotlight for each comeback. For the next comeback, it could be Joy's era, or Wendy's era, or Sulgi's era, or Irene's era, or Yeri's era. One member will always have the most attractive look in Red Velvet for a comeback than the other members, and will always be the most visually eye-catching in the comeback. So in conclusion, I do not hate the girl groups I stan, listen to, or loves beauty. I just don't find every member to be as attractive or the most attractive, because there will always be one member who stands out in each of the comebacks, and every member will not stand out. I want to find a girl group other than Girl Crush where every member is visually attractive, but I haven't found that girl group so far. And I've only found girl groups where one member always catches my eye the most each comeback, or maybe in the starting one member catches my eye the most that I end up biasing them. The next opinion is something that I don't know if it's associated only with K-pop fans or with other fandoms as well of other things like Harry Potter and other things. The opinion is that I love Wattpad so much, but I hate that people associate Wattpad with fan fictions and stuff mostly, because if you ask a K-pop stan about Wattpad, they will talk about mostly fan fictions and very rare will talk about the actual amazing writers and books on there. Now, I actually have a book on Wattpad that I written on my account. It has 5 chapters. It's basically a book where I predicted COVID and made a disease-based book, like a disease that was plaguing a town and people were dying and there was no cure and it was like an unknown disease and all that. And that was in 2019. I predicted COVID. Then besides that, I have a bunch of other storylines on my account, like about Cupid, who's a god of love, right? And he's like supposed to bring people together and closer, but then he gets possessed by an evil spirit, and then he becomes evil and he turns love into a bloodbath. Then I written another book about this village who meets this person claiming to be God, and then this person who claims to be God is preaching them whatever he hears in his dreams, and then these people in the village listen to him, and then the village turns from a quiet, peaceful, boring village into like a scary village of sin and death. Then I written another book about this woman. She's like helpful in her community. She's a nice person. She does a lot of good things like charity work and anything whenever she can. But then she gets visions of herself doing bad things like murder, stealing, and all sorts of bad things. And she wonders why and what's going on. And maybe she's an actual bad person. Like, I've written so many of these amazing type of storylines in books, but I lost my account, so I don't know what my password is of my account now that I have a new phone. And I'm so sad because I I want to finish my COVID-19 book. I only have 5 chapters written down and I want to write more. And there's so many amazing books that I found on Wattpad, and so many books that have gone to win Watties, which is like a Wattpad award thing, and they have won Watties, and so many amazing sci-fi genre, mystery, fantasy, and a lot of these books. But I hate that K-pop stans, they mostly associate Wattpad with fan fiction, and 18 plus fan fiction or calm fan fiction. No matter what the fan fiction is, if the fan fiction is pure, if the fan fiction is dirty, 18 plus, I still hate the fact that people associate Wattpad with fan fictions. Like, I'm guessing Wattpad got even more popular just because of the amount of fan fictions on there. People should realize that there are amazing writers on Wattpad as well, who write amazing books related to genres like mystery, fantasy, thriller, horror, etc, etc. Why do people have to associate Wattpad with fan fictions? And why every time you would ask a K-pop fan or stan about Wattpad, they will talk about fan fictions and stuff? If you ask me about Wattpad, I will talk about the writers and stuff. I will not talk about fan fictions. I hate fan fictions. I don't read them, nothing. I don't even read books in general, but I love the fact that Wattpad has so many of these amazing writers and stuff, but they're getting drowned out because people mostly know Wattpad for the fan fictions, and it's so annoying to me. The next and final opinion is that most popular releases in 2021 were really bad for me, and I did not like most popular 2021 releases, but I did like a few, but there were only a few that I liked, and I hated a lot more than I liked. Now, there were a lot of popular 2021 K-pop releases like NCT 127's Sticker, NCT Dreams is Hot Sauce, Hyuna's I'm Not Cool, Hyuna Dawn's is Ping Pong, Aespa Savage and Next Level, ITZY's Loco and Mafia in the Morning, Stray Kids is Thunderous. These were a few songs that I did not like in K-pop, and I hated so much. But there were a bunch of popular releases that I did like in 2021, like Alcohol Free by Twice, Deja Vu by ATEEZ, Strunga's Bicycle, and 17's Walk With You and Ready to Love, and a bunch of others like Red Velvet's Queendom. But there were more songs that I hated in 2021 that I liked, and most of my favorite songs in 2021, if you look at my top K-pop songs of 2021 videos that are part 1, part 2, part 3 and part 4, you will notice that they are more smaller, unknown and underrated artists and groups rather than popular ones, because I did not like a lot of popular releases. As I said earlier, I'm releasing a new part to my top K-pop songs of 2021 soon. I have enough songs that I love. That will be out in a few days when I get the chance to edit it, because I'm doing other videos currently, right? And in that list, there's only like 1, 2 or maybe 3 songs that are from the popular side of K-pop, and the rest are all underrated and unknown groups. Like in that list, there's NCT 127's Favorite Vampire, which I loved a lot, and 17's Walk With You and Ready to Love. These were popular releases in that list. But then besides that, they are all underrated unknown artists like Shin Yume's Hitchhiker. Then there is Presence All Night Long. There's Boogaboo's Boogaboo, Crazy's Gaia, Secret Numbers, Fire Saturday, and Dream Note's Ghost, to name a few songs. And these songs that I mentioned are all underrated or unknown and stuff like that. So a lot of the popular releases in 2021 were really bad for me, and I have loved more underrated releases in 2021 than I did with the popular releases. So guys, that's it for today's video, and these are all the 5 opinions that I had, and I hope that you enjoyed this video, and please share your opinions in the comments below if you have any opinions. And also stay tuned for more videos. I'll be releasing a part 2 to my favorite parts in K-pop songs. I'll be releasing a part 2 to my anniversary special, and soon enough I will finally be doing the collab with my sister, meaning that she's already answered my questions from long time ago, but I never got a chance to edit it because I was lazy. So I'll finally be doing that soon. So thank you for watching, and that's all, and cue outro. Bye.
Kitchi yada, mocha chocolata. Let me just get a couple pinky, just like your lizard. That's just how we live it, pin up how we keep it moving. That's just how we live it, pin up how we keep it moving, yeah.